On Screen Manitoba is an innovative membership-driven association that leads, builds, and represents the Manitoba screen-based industry.
Good morning. I guess we'll get started just as they finish setting up the camera. I'm Nicole Madiation. I'm the Executive Director of On Screen Manitoba, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the second day of the industry sessions at the Gimli Film Festival. We have this morning a very interesting panel on marketing, following up on our panel on finance yesterday and the pitch workshop that Daniel did for us. Just a couple of announcements. A very warm thank you, of course, to all of our sponsors. Your banners up thanking them. Without their support, we couldn't put on this kind of an event. And thank you to the staff and volunteers of the Gimli Film Festival, of course, for making us a part of this great festival. And I hope that this afternoon, as the industry sessions wind down, that you will have a chance to go out and enjoy some of the great films that are showing at the festival, and maybe a few of you will stay over for the weekend to see a few more films. So following, just one announcement then, following the panel is the Filmmakers Picnic, and that's at the Pavilion. So that's another opportunity to just gather and share experiences in the industry, and a number of the guests will still be here for that event. So please take advantage. I know they're all open to meeting with you and chatting about your experiences. So Avi Federgreen will be our moderator today, and I'll hand it over to him. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all coming here to listen to us talk. Before I introduce the panelists, I have to pretend I'm Daniel Cross for 5 seconds, because I'm a big fan of his, and watching him talk yesterday was inspiring to me and will change my life forever. You know, Daniel was talking about DOC, and I agree with him wholeheartedly that if you're a documentary filmmaker, this is an organization you really need to join and be a part of. So I would encourage you also to take that seriously and spend $150 to join and become a member. It's invaluable, and I encourage you to do so. Also, those producers in here who are not members of the CMPA, I think you should also take a look at that. They've created some new incentives for up-and-coming producers to join, and I would also take a look at that, because we're doing some heavy-duty lobbying to fight for our Indigenous lives, so I would encourage you to do so. That's my Daniel Cross pitch, and now we're going to get on to the panel. I'd like to introduce the panelists.
Maybe I have to interrupt.
Okay.
You can't get up and plug everyone and not plug On Screen.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you have to also. I'm plugging On Screen Manitoba. Check them out. OnScreenManitoba.com is where you'll find all the information. Do it. Okay, now for the panel. So first of all, on my right is my friend and compatriot, Sean Cisterna, who is the director and producer of Moonpoint. Sean's been in the business for many, many years, doing all kinds of different types of work, and I'm sure he'll give a little bit of info of what he's doing. But we're going to talk about what we did for Moonpoint as far as social media, etc. To my left, we have Leonardo Dell'Anno, I hope I pronounced that right, is the manager of operations and special projects for the Canadian Film Centre. They're doing some crazy stuff over there. It's a bit twisted, but it's all really awesome and innovative, and Leonardo's going to get into what they're doing and social media and everything involved at the CFC. So Leonardo will be speaking to that. To Leonardo's left is Muriel Rosilio, who's the sales agent and principal for Farrago Media Inc. And Muriel will be talking about some of the things that she's involved in on different sides of being a sales agent for feature films, documentaries, and web series, and all great things. And to Muriel's left is Brendon Sawatzky, who is a producer with the National Film Board, and Brendon will talk about what the NFB is doing and some of the things that they're involved in and how social media relates to the NFB. So The purpose of this panel is to talk about, we're making films, and the landscape of marketing films in Canada and internationally has changed over the last bunch of years, and social media is a very important part of getting the word out about your film. And that, in my opinion, and hopefully the other panelists will agree, that you have to start, before you even start shooting, you have to start building your audience. You have to start getting the word out about your film, your project, your web series, whatever it is that you're doing. And we're going to talk about those kinds of things today. So why don't we start with Brendon. Brendon, why don't you tell me and our audience here about the NFB and how social media plays a part of what the NFB is doing, and anything else you'd like to talk about?
Thank you very much, Avi. So the film board, a couple of years back decided that it would be, they have film board's been around for a long time, as you know, and they have an enormous library of films, and they sort of thought to themselves, why don't we put these online and see what kind of a reaction we get? So that tended to sort of, it went over very well, and it kind of re-energized the film board in a lot of ways, and also kind of decided that at that point they would try to focus a little bit more on the digital side of things. So what they did was they created sort of a portion of the website, the nfb.ca website called, and then it's /interactive. And they started to sort of explore with the mandate that they could hopefully find filmmakers to create projects that didn't necessarily have a sort of a private sector kind of bottom line, how are we going to make money on this kind of a concept, more about let's explore, see what works, see what doesn't work, let's just see what's out there. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at nfb.ca /interactive, you really should, because there's a lot of really, really great projects on there. And like I say, some of them tend to have a little more of a kind of an online sort of brochure kind of an aspect to them, a little more of almost an art installation online. Others are very truly interactive, one of which is a project called Bear 71, which was released recently at the Sundance Film Festival, and has gone on to win a number of different awards and play here and there. And the idea behind Bear 71 is that there is a filmmaker from Alberta, and hopefully I'm getting the story right. Her husband actually sort of worked for Banff National Park. And in the park, there was all kinds of cameras set up, sort of like digital cameras for taking footage of basically like the animals. The idea was to make sure that people and the animals in the park could kind of interact together safely, et cetera, et cetera. So as a filmmaker, she realized that there's all this footage, these still photographs, moving footage, et cetera, that was out there through the park. And she thought, well, you got all this footage, is there any way I can make a film out of it? So she got access to it through her husband, and came back to the film board where she'd made some previous films, and sort of pitched them a kind of a linear project. And the film board kind of looked at it and thought, well, maybe there's something interactive. So the end result ended up being a digital recreation of the park, and segments of the footage, the still photographs, being worked into the park. And what happens is when you go to the site, you actually can tag yourself, sort of like the animals are tagged, and you travel through the site, and you can actually bump into other people that are there in real time that are also looking at the site, and you can interact with them if you like. But there's all kinds of different things along the way in the park that you would normally find if you went to the park yourself. And it's kind of told in the story of one particular animal, Bear 71, and after searching through hours and hours of footage, they basically found that she actually, this mother bear and her cubs, had a kind of a beginning, middle, and end to her story. So the bear is kind of like your guide through the park, and it's it has a lot to do with the environment, but it's extremely, extremely interactive. I don't want to ruin the story for you. You should all go and take a look at it. it has an interesting ending to it, which I encourage you to take a look at. But basically, it allowed the film board and the filmmaker to try something that was very nonlinear, very interactive, and as it turned out, the project has been very, very successful. So that's kind of one of the things that the film board's doing, and the intention is to continue to explore, different ways that that we can invite filmmakers to look at their project in a whole new way and tell their stories.
When the film board commissions a project with a producer, director, and team, how does the filmmaker or the film people work? How closely do you work together, and when does things start happening as far as web presence?
Well, the entire intention of the film board is, we're the public producer, right? So the idea is to start to work with the filmmaker right from day one. We want to see ideas come in that, really it's just an idea, and then we can take it from there to go through, what we start with something called investigate, where we just sort of explore the idea a little bit, and then if we decide to go further, we go into development and into production. So we want to be there from day one, ideally, and work with the filmmaker in a collaborative way.
As far as the internet component, once you've greenlit for production, well, when does the internet presence start happening, and what's the involvement with the NFB and with the filmmakers and so on?
Right. Basically, the idea a lot of times filmmakers will come, and the first thing that we want to do is, okay, what's the story? And then we go into investigate, and that's when we start to go, okay, maybe you were looking at this as a linear project, maybe you were looking at it as an animated project, but maybe we should also take a look at the digital possibilities. So from day one, we're sort of exploring that and trying to see if there's a life there as well.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to you shortly, Brendon. Muriel, why don't you tell us as far as the projects that you're working on with filmmakers and companies, and the social media aspect of all these things that your company and you are doing?
Hello, everybody. So as a sales agent, basically my role, just to describe it very briefly, I'm sure a lot of you know what I do, but I am the conduit between yourselves, the storytellers, the filmmakers, the content that you produce, and all the platforms that would like to license that content, and all the platforms that would like to bring your project to different audiences. And of course, in that role, I'm trying to create revenue streams for you and for your films and for your projects coming up. Yes, the marketplace has changed tremendously. Of course, I've been working a lot with traditional producers for the most part who have produced content for linear platforms or broadcasters. But one of my passions and one of the reasons why I went out on my own 2 years ago is that I really love web series and I love short content, and I think that the opportunities that are out there with web series are extremely exciting. It's kind of the Wild West of the digital world, as I call it. But for me, as a salesperson, how do I work? I tend to work much more closely with web series producers, although I work closely with all my producers. But of course, the web series producers and those kind of content producers tend to spend a lot of time on the social media platforms, and it's a tremendous tool, as we're going to talk about today. Let's just say that there are opportunities today that exist. Having been doing this for an odd 20 years, there are opportunities today that exist that didn't exist before. So for example, I would say that the linear broadcasters are still your biggest revenue generators, but in terms of reaching other audiences, we have to think about digital platforms and all kinds of ancillary audiences outside of the linear platforms. One of the projects, or one of the companies that I work with, is actually a New York-based company called Unboxed. A gentleman called Wilson Cleveland, who's produced a lot of branded entertainment series. The last one he's doing and working on still is called Leap Year, and it just won the best branded series at Banff Film Festival. Wilson is somebody that's extremely active on the social media front, and his level of activity and how he created his audience and built his audience online was extremely important in order to determine his success as to whether he was going to go to Series 2 once he launched Series 1. What's exciting for me as a distributor or sales agent for the series and for his content is that Series 1 started off as a 10-part, 7 to 10-minute series, and now we're going to a television format. So we're able to kind of reach audiences at a different level and start to interest other platforms, like linear platforms. But, you know, I don't know how much I definitely want to get into the topic of how we as sales agents need to get involved up front. It's been happening more and more, where years ago I would get a finished product, here's the DVD, watch my film, do you like it, can you distribute it internationally? Today, we can get involved at script stage, we can get involved at treatment stage. We want to be involved that early on, because part of our role is to help you kind of tailor your content to audiences, to universal audiences, and as important as it is today, and it truly is, because we have a great opportunity to engage and converse with our audience, we can start creating platforms for you, social media platforms, to get to that audience at a very early stage. So the other thing I'll say very quickly is I'm very interested in you not just talking about your films, but to think of yourselves as, which I'm sure you do, as filmmakers, and it's about creating that kind of momentum with an audience to build them up for the film you presently have, but of course everything that's coming up afterwards.
Now, with regards to the films that you do take on, how involved do you get in with their social media platforms that they're involved in, or if they're not involved in, do you get them going on that, and do you give them direction on how all that goes?
Yeah, for the most part, the producers that have the kind of content that's been available on social media platform, or that is conducive to kind of social media campaigns, have been doing it on their own. But definitely that's something that we're working on more and more, because the involvement up front in the past really was about us doing pre-sales wherever possible, and those are less and less common. I mean, obviously they exist, and we're still doing them. We're working on a couple of them right now. But depending on the content, depending on the audience, depending on the genre, we have to get very specific in our conversation with you. We can start early on. We definitely want to be that partner and get the word out. And however we can help, we are marketers, we're promoters, we're salespeople, we're agents. You know, we're part of that process. There's no question about that.
Great. Leonardo, why don't you tell us what the Film Center is doing with regards to the Media Lab and you know, internet, and how the CFC sees the internet, and where its role is now, and what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The CFC Media Lab is really involved in the past 15 years. For the first 15 years, we focused ourselves on training individuals. And we did a lot of in-house productions, but we brought in individuals and we gave them the skill set that they needed to develop a prototype and go out to the digital market space. The CFC Media Lab is focused on digital entertainment. Now, I'm really excited to announce that as of August 13th, we're launching a new program called Idea Boost. And like you said earlier, we're strong believers that the audience, starting at the beginning of a project, is really important. The marketplace has changed, and the audience has a pull in your projects. And if the audience doesn't support it from the beginning, it's harder to get them in now. And so what Idea Boost does is it brings, so basically it focuses on the idea. So we're looking for small, medium companies or teams of people that have either content-based or tool-based engaged entertainment idea. And engaged entertainment, I mean, is an idea that allows the audience to participate from the beginning, and it's an interactive project that could be anything from transmedia to web series to a social media platform to a search engine. And so you, from the beginning, as of August 13th, you can submit your idea, and the audience starts to vote. And it's 30 days for the audience to vote. It's kind of, I don't know if a lot of you guys know of Indiegogo or Kickstarter, but it's that kind of platform where it's just a blank canvas. You go in and you throw in your videos, you throw in your content, and you throw in your pictures, and you sell your pitch to the audience. And the audience decides if they like it or not. And they can do that by tweeting, by Facebooking, or by boosting. And boosting's worth the most. So there's an algorithm that's built, and it will allow you to have a final score. On the 13th of September, the shortlisted projects will be given to a jury that will decide who gets into the program. And once you're in the program, the people that boosted you, so there'll be 8 projects selected into the program, and the people that were boosted, the people that boosted you would be part of your audience engagement throughout the 4 months of the program. The program is a part-time program, so it's not an in-house program. If you live in Manitoba, we can make that work. It's only open to Canadians. However, it is open to co-productions, so you can be Canadian with a company from Europe or the States, but the Canadian company has to apply. And then from there, for 4 months, basically what we give you is we give you $15,000 in financing towards only the development of the prototype, and we give you another $15,000 in service, in-kind donations, which is our mentors, our partners, and our board of advisors and everyone involved and our leaders that will be helping you through the program. I can talk more about the program afterwards, but basically what you leave is you get a full business development strategy, a full business engagement strategy. You leave with a full pitch and a prototype of the project that's market ready. And our 3 partners that I'm not allowed to announce at this point are 3 of the major players worldwide, and they will have first right of refusal of the project, so they will be able to greenlight any of the projects that are through Idea Boost. Yeah. So that's where our main focus is. We are running a slew of incubators with Mars and with Hot Docs and so on. So we have a bunch of other things, but our main focus right now is with Idea Boost and getting ideas made from the beginning to the end.
Great. All right. So now let's look at. Sean, you can tell us about Moonpoint and how social media played an active part in the production and building audience, and then you and I will talk about the actual how we got the film released and what we did with all that. So why don't you start with what we did from the beginning?
Sure. Well, when you're a low-budget filmmaker, you have even a lower budget to market your movie after that. So while my co-panelists have all these clear, regimented ideas, I'm sure are very well thought out. I mean, we would think of things that morning and shoot at night, sort of thing. Like if we had a crazy idea, we'd just go out and shoot it and see what worked. So, I mean, our thing was all about, if we have no money to market this thing, how do we do it? And we just wanted to engage whatever little audience we had at the time to keep liking our page and finding out more about our film. So, I mean, one of the first things we did in production was to have messages from our cast and crew to the people who liked our page. So we for every 100th fan, for instance, we would record a special message to that 500th person who clicked our page, sort of thing. So we shot like a special video just for them, and I can show you. And it became really popular, and it was a lot of fun for the people involved.
Is there audio on that?
Hi, my name is Brendon Sawatzky. I play an integral in this awesome new movie, Moonpoint. I would just like to thank some chick named Bridget Knorr for being our 500th fan. Whoopity-doo-dah, Bridget Knorr. Here's an autographed picture of me. And to all you other Facebook people, you better keep spreading the news or I am gonna whip some f***ing ass.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, every 100th fan we'd record a new message, sort of thing, from a different cast member, and people seemed to like it and started requesting their own videos, and the likes keep going up and up and up, and I mean, we'd get different ones. I mean, this guy's on his own YTV show. Hi there. That's the writer. That's one of our, that's Jessica Holmes from Air Force. She was in our film. And this was our lead actress.
Hello, everybody.
We try to do something unique and fun for everyone.
And I wanted to thank you guys for liking the Moonpoint page. That's awesome. I hope you like the trailer. I really like the trailer. We have a lot of surprises coming your way. First, I've promised a little song to some fans to thank you for liking the page, specifically fans 875 to 900. So I hope you enjoy it. It's groovy. Let's try it out. I said thank you for your love. I said thank you for your Moonpoint love. I said thank you for your love. Let's start with the Garcia Thank you, Shelley Buck, Cookies Garciano, Isabella Isa Garciano, Mayor Roman Garciano, Deirdre Garciano. Thank you, Nick Lang, and Mark Stewart. Thank you, Roman Garciano Sr., Deirdre Egg.
It goes on, so I can not listen to it. Yeah, so people seem to like it. So yeah, I mean, with no budget and an enthusiastic cast, we were able to go to their homes in the evening after we reach a milestone like every 100th fan and record a special message for them. And after that, we just got more creative, and it wasn't as regimented and thought out as people would think. As I hoped we would have some sort of master plan. We would just think of stupid things to do and do it for our fans, and that's what seemed to resonate with them and kept them coming back for more.
We also used the fan page, and we'll show you the website too. We were looking for music for the movie, and the idea was that we were going. And I talked about this yesterday. That we wanted to. My philosophy in making movies today is that you have to find multiple ways of monetizing a movie. Just making a movie wasn't enough anymore. That you have to come up with maybe a book deal or a soundtrack deal or whatever. And we had approached a number of indie musicians from across Canada, people like Danny Michel, M. Griner, Cuff the Duke, City and Color, and we got music from them, and we got over 33 songs in the movie. Everybody got paid the same amount of money, which was very, very small considering the total budget of the movie was $75,000, and they graciously let us make a soundtrack. Now, we also felt that we wanted to help build our audience. We ran a contest on our fan page, which was we're looking for music for the film, submit a song of yours, and if we like it, we'll put it in the movie. We got, within a couple of weeks, 150 song submissions. And people were forwarding it to their musician friends who had bands who were trying to make a break for it, and they got them to become fans of our page, and then they submitted songs to us, and we narrowed it down. A lot of the songs were so amazing that we couldn't narrow it down to just one song. Like, we just couldn't. So we put 4 songs in the film, and to these artists, it was the biggest deal ever because they're getting one of their songs in a feature film, a Canadian feature film. And those songs also got put on the Moon Point soundtrack, which we were selling online, which we're selling on our website, it's selling on the IndieCan website. We sold them at screenings. We did a merch table in front at every screening we did. And people were buying the merchandise before they even walked in and watched the movie, and then we sold a ton more merchandise after they came out of the movie because they loved the soundtrack so much.
How many fans do you have?
2,000. I think we're only at like 2,000 or so, but it keeps growing now that we've went on to Air Canada and to the Movie Network. Every day we see spikes in our numbers, and for a little low budget movie that has no airtime or anything, it's amazing that we have people.
So, I mean, we used the Facebook page and Twitter, and at screenings we had a thing up on the screen that asked people to Twitter after they watched the movie to all of their friends about what they thought of the movie, and hoped that they liked it, so that their Twitters would be positive. But that worked really, really well. We used Twitter huge, and same with Facebook. And we also found this amazing guy in Toronto who is an internet geek who spends his days talking to bloggers online and twittering and taking content. Tweeting. Not That's right, sorry, tweeting. Okay, all right. And he was amazing. Like, he was an invaluable addition to the team. Without him, the word wouldn't have got out half as fast as it did. And he would bring a little video camera, and he would shoot at our screenings and stuff. And maybe you can go to the other video that we did when we released the film of the interviews.
Oh, okay. You guys keep talking while I find this.
So our opening night screening in Toronto at the AMC Theatre, the night before, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we did sort of this man on the street kind of thing? As people came out of the theater, we would grab them and pull them aside and ask them to talk in front of a camera about, did they like the movie, get some really great comments, and then cut together a little piece that night to put up on the internet the very next morning to get people to come out to see the movie. So I found a couple of film students who were keen to do it. They came in and shot on a Canon 7D, a bunch of interview clips, and we put them all up. And we edited it down to like a minute or two, and we posted online, and we got a huge amount of response from that. So we shot sort of our own commercial kind of thing. You have it? Yeah, this is it.
And it was cute, and it was Canadian.
It was amazing. Yeah, it had a kind of Canadian quirkiness.
I started writing this story a couple years ago called The Monster in My Pants. I think it would be a great movie. And you could be in it if you want.
It was really sweet and touching and moving.
There's this one line at the very start that just made me like crack up, and throughout the rest of the movie, I kept coming back and I kept thinking of it, and I would just laugh every time I thought about it.
Fantastic. You know that sound a squeegee makes? You know, after you soap up the front window and then you turn around to the rubber side and you're like...
You know, with being a low-budget film, and I think as one of the sole producing, team, we had to train ourselves to shoot and edit and do graphics all by ourselves because we couldn't really afford, a company to do this for us. So I think when you're a do-it-yourself filmmaker, you really need to go the extra mile. And our movie's only 80 minutes long, but we've shot over 90 minutes of web stuff just to help promote the film. So it's like was doing two features back to back sort of thing with the amount of content that we shot and edited just to market it. So yeah, over those 6 months before our release, we were filming weekly videos, and it just ended up being 90 minutes worth of material.
Can I just say something just to support that? As a sales agent, when you're doing these any kind of projects like that, to have that extra footage, to have those interviews, to have those behind the scenes, those are all things that are packaged for home video sales. Believe it or not, they still exist. DVDs are still out there, but they're extremely important for home video distributors. So it's great to have extra material.